Welcome to the Alpine Church of Spiritual Living. Glad to have you here this morning on this beautiful Easter day. I am going to be reading the thought for the week, and at the bottom in the bold area, if you're in the room, you can join me in saying that last paragraph. We are celebrating Easter this Sunday, the triumphant realization that life does not end with a physical death, but is transformed and moved into higher and greater levels of experience. Jesus taught us to say yes to the flow of life, even and especially if that includes suffering and dying. He was not the great exception, but the great example. Many want to avoid being placed on our own cross. Many want to avoid the dying away of our current life. However, such must be the case if we are to have a resurrection experience. Miracles can and do happen all around us. Miracles can happen in your own life when you are open and receptive. Borden P. Brown wrote, "The commonest event, say the fall of a leaf, is as supernatural in its causation as a miracle would be, for in both alike, God would be equally implicated." And so to quote Roy Eugene Davis, quote, "A miracle is an event that may seem impossible to explain by natural laws and is often regarded as supernatural. So-called miracles are actually produced by subtle natural laws that people whose consciousness is ordinary are not aware of or do not understand. Believe that supportive events that contribute to your highest good can and will occur. Believe in healing, freedom from troublesome conditions of all kinds that in any way cause you discomfort or limit you, and that you can experience rapid, progressive spiritual growth that culminates in complete illumination of your consciousness," unquote. Be expectant of and look for miracles working in and through your life this and every day. Believe and give thanks before the demonstration even occurs that God is blessing you in abundant measure. Say with me, "I value my spiritual growth and know my consciousness is being elevated to rise above struggles and trials, so that I may be the recipient of miracles this very day. I am blessed and grateful." So happy Easter, everyone. It is a beautiful one, isn't it? Gorgeous day today. And it is a day of celebration, that's for sure. For in our Christian tradition, we are celebrating the risen Christ. And as I wrote in the thought for the week that I just read, Jesus was the great example, not the great exception. He came to teach us how to live and to say yes, both to life and both to death, so that we can have a resurrection experience. It can only happen through that process of death. Many times we as humans want to skip that death part. We want to have the resurrection, but we don't want to go through the dying part. 1 Corinthians 21 through 22 reads, "For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, even so in Christ shall all be made alive." That's the keynote there. Through Christ, all are made alive. To quote Father Richard Rohr, "Jesus is the union of human and divine in space and time, and Christ is the eternal union of matter and spirit from the beginning of time." When we believe in Jesus Christ, we're believing in something much bigger than the historical incarnation that we call Jesus. The entire sweep of the meaning of the Anointed One, the Christ, includes us and all of creation since the beginning of time. That Christ consciousness goes beyond borders, goes beyond faiths, goes beyond any sort of limitation. The Christ consciousness is what we all are here to attain and to achieve and to experience. It includes all things living. And that's good news, don't you think? Yeah. This message this morning is entitled "Miracles Happen." And you heard the song by Barbra Streisand earlier, "Ordinary Miracles." And I love that song. I love the words in that song. I was privileged to be able to sing that song when we had our women's choir here several years ago, and Lois Cowan was our director, and she was the director of the Southwest College for many years of their choral group, and she was very precise. She knew exactly how it needed to be done, and that's what she expected. And so we practiced and practiced and practiced that song, and I just love it. And I wanted to read you the words again because they say so much in a common yet deep way. Change can come on tiptoe. Love is where it starts. It resides, often hides, deep within our hearts. And just as pebbles make a mountain, raindrops make a sea, one day at a time, change begins with you and me. Ordinary miracles happen all around. Just by giving and receiving comes belonging and believing. Every sun that rises never rose before. Each new day leads the way through a different door. And we can all be quiet heroes, living quiet days, walking through the world, changing it in quiet ways. Ordinary miracles, like candles in the dark, each and every one of us lights a spark. Yes, ordinary miracles, one for every star. No lightning bolt or clap of thunder, only joy and quiet wonder. Endless possibilities right before our eyes. Oh, see the way a miracle multiplies. Now hope can spring eternally. Plant it and it grows. Love is all that's necessary. Love in its extraordinary way makes ordinary miracles every blessed day. Feel that unity of spirit between all of us. How do we do it? How do we create a miracle? Hope, joy, quiet wonder, giving and receiving, and love is all that's necessary. Love is the message that Jesus the Christ came to teach us, to tell us what we are and how we are to relate to each and every one around us on this human side. And yes, our humanness does need to die to be reborn time and time again, for we are eternal. And how do we do that? We do it by acceptance to what is. We do it by being open and receptive to what life brings us. We do it by saying yes to every moment. We are in a new book study, just started last Thursday, reading Michael Singer's Living Untethered, and we have some great discussions in there. And this last week, one of the participants was telling us that, we're all just like snowflakes. Snowflakes are all unique and individual, right? None of them are the same. And he talked about them falling through the air, and as they fall through the sky, they get battered around and tossed and turned by the wind and so forth. And so they're all unique and different, but they have had all their own challenges, correct? And he says, we're like that snowflake, our lives. We're coming down through life, we're getting hit by this and that and the other thing, and so we're all unique. But what the snowflake doesn't understand is when it lands in the ocean, there's nothing to be afraid of, because it's landing in what it is, that essence of the water, of that energy. And so we as humans, as we are floating through this experience of life, there shouldn't be any sort of dismay about where we're going to end up, because we're going to be ending up as what we are: love, spirit, joy, infinite possibilities. So we are all a bunch of flakes around here. And we know that, yeah. We had Adeline's, our granddaughter's 5th birthday party yesterday. And it was grand. Both her grandpas were there, and of course I was there, Becky was there, and she had all her cousins were there. Now the cousins are the children of Burke and Becky's cousins. So Jared and Dalen are 2 brothers, and they have 2 children of their own. So all of these little ones were running around. And it was kind of a bittersweet thing. As Burke made his transition, his passing, when Ellen was 3. So he wasn't physically there at our celebration, but I know he was there in spirit because I could feel him there. And in fact, it hadn't been too long ago that I had this recognition and realization that he's always with me, always in my heart. So life is eternally changing. It is unending. It's going to look different than it's what we might expect it to look like. But I believe that God, love, spirit, I don't care what you want to call it, knows what it is doing. Absolutely. And for us to know that and accept that gives us so much peace, gives us so much tranquility in life. You know, the wise ones let life shift them. Let life change them. Let life grow them. It takes discernment. It takes judging with right judgment, which many times means not judging. Not be quick to judge that this is right and this is wrong. That's what should have happened. That shouldn't have happened. To let it be because it is. To allow it to be. You know that Jesus hung out with lepers and tax collectors, the poor and children. We all, every single one of us, have those type of categories within us. We are all broken. None of us is perfect and pristine in the way we are living our lives. And that's exactly what Jesus came to support, came to bring forth, came to let everyone know that these are not people, these people shouldn't be forgotten. These people shouldn't be ignored. Every one of us in our imperfection has that perfection of God within us. And we all will do it our own way. So we don't have to wait for something to be perfect to love it. We certainly don't have to wait to love ourselves in our imperfection, because that's how we can look upon others and by the grace of God, love them. Michael Singer writes in this book a lot about a whole chapter on death. And he says, there's nothing to be afraid of. If you think about it, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So our love that we are, this spirit, this joy that we are, is always with us, always guiding us, always wanting us to become more and more. And we need to learn to let go of the control that we think we need to have life be the way we think it should be. We need to learn to float down that river of life rather than fighting it. We need to let life have its space with us. And that includes death. That includes letting go, one time or another. Remember, our life is not about us. We are about life. Enlarge your territory. Enlarge your availability to what life and love has to give to itself through us. Give that gift of trusting and believing that life is for me, that life is supporting me, that love is guiding me. And it makes it so much easier to not feel like we have to be in control. I wanted to share with you the message from the Daily Word this morning. And it begins with a quote, "I am resurrected through the power of the Christ. On this glorious Easter day, I am resurrected and brimming with new life. The stones of defeat and limitation have rolled away. I am free and unlimited. Throughout my Lenten journey, I heeded the call from my soul to recognize the stones in my consciousness and awaken to the infinite potential within me. I can now rejoice in the shimmering light of awareness with an open, joyful heart. My faith is strong, and I am ablaze with the radiance of spirit. I welcome eternal indwelling life into my heart and my mind. Hope never dies. Jesus transcended death and demonstrated life is eternal. With a grateful heart, I rise up and claim new life. I am resurrected through the indwelling Christ. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new beginning. I have risen." And from John 11:25, "I am the resurrection and the life." So give yourself the opportunity today and every day to rejoice in this resurrection, to rejoice in this newness of life, to float down this river of life and let it support you. Believe in miracles. Raise your consciousness to the fact that they aren't something that you don't expect, but that you do expect. That life itself is a miracle, and we need to rejoice in it and be glad in it. Have a fabulous day. Namaste.